EU5's economy isn't just better than EU4's, it's completely different. In Europa Universalis V, wealth, markets, and resources are the lifeblood of your nation, shaping every decision you make. In EU5, the world looks alive. Provinces produce what their geography and history allow, your pops consume goods, and markets clash in an endless competition for dominance. Let's get into EU5's economy and start at the ground level: production. Every location in EU5 generates a raw material, but what it produces depends on location, geography, and historical context. Fertile plains feed you with grain, mountains hide iron and gold, and certain crops only thrive in specific climates, like cocoa in Central America. The amount of resources you produce isn't fixed forever. Urbanization can reduce raw resource output, while advances in agriculture, mining, and literacy push production forward. Development and population growth raise your production ceiling, but instability, wars, and disasters can bring it all crashing down. Also, with situations like the Columbian Exchange in EU5, locations can change what they produce, rewriting global supply and demand in a way EU4 never attempted. So production gives you the foundation in EU5's economy, but to unlock its potential, you need something else: buildings. In EU5, buildings aren't just flat bonuses, they are the tools you use to shape your nation. Initial economical buildings transform raw goods into finished products. Over time, they evolve from simple guilds into massive factories, which allows for much more production. Infrastructure buildings, like irrigation ones or hospitals, improve output and resilience, while trade buildings, like marketplaces, expand your reach into markets. There are also military structures in EU5, which supply manpower and fortify your borders. Also, you can grow food in rural areas via villages and use cultural and religious buildings and government halls to further manage your nation in the game. Then there are special buildings, unique national or location-based structures like the Janissary Barracks or the Library of Vijayanagar, which gives powerful one-of-a-kind bonuses. Unlike EU4 buildings, which only had an upfront cost, buildings in EU5 also need constant maintenance, often require specific resources to even function properly. And all of that ties directly into the next piece of the economic puzzle in EU5: markets. EU5 tries to bring dynamic markets to life. Instead of being fixed like in EU4, they expand, regress, and clash based on attraction and protection. Goods flow where demand pulls them, and prices fluctuate depending on needs and scarcity. For example, tea might be somewhat cheap and abundant on the other side of the world, but fetch a fortune in Europe due to scarcity and demand, perfect for a trade empire to make a profit of. In EU5, markets also fight wars of influence. When two markets overlap, attraction and protection mechanics lock horns in a fight over market influence and expansion. Expanding one giant market might sound ideal, but market access gets lower the further a location is from the center of the market. Roads, relocating centers, or even creating entirely new markets to overcome this issue can be the difference between prosperity and stagnation. And when goods move between these markets in the game, that's when trade comes into play. Simply explained, trade in EU5 is the movement of goods between various markets. Profit comes from the price gap between what something sells at home and what it can yield abroad, minus tolls, distance, and other trade costs. In EU5, sometimes you trade to make ducats, and sometimes you trade just to survive when your market lacks the resources you need. And here's the twist: in EU5, it's not just nations doing trade. The burger class conducts its own independent trade, moving goods to meet shortages and giving the economy a life of its own. So what makes EU5's economy so different and more complex compared to EU4? In EU5, the economy seems alive. Pops shift production as your nation grows, buildings demand real trade-offs, markets fight for dominance, and trade weaves the world into a living network of opportunities and threats. In Europa Universalis V, the economy isn't just a side mechanic, it is a fundamental part of the game. If you watched it till the end, thank you, and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the future EU5 videos that are on the way.